Hello and welcome to another episode of It Came from the Page. And today we are going to be building my old school April TBR. As you can see, I have freed 2 shelves on my TBR cart. When this video goes up, I'm hoping to actually buy another TBR cart, and that cart is only going to be built for one and done books, but I want to have a cart that's like a TBR cart, and then a TBR and a cart that is also for just anything that I read. And I consider it to be like I'll read it once and then I'll donate it kind of thing, just to free up some space on my shelves. I'm also joined by Moose. Hello, Moose. She's a lovely person. And the way I'm going to be building my TBR for Old School April is not actually going to be based on prompts. So what's nice about Old School April is there are so many prompts that you can basically choose whatever and have it count. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be choosing the things that I want to actually read, and then I already know that it's going to fit into one of the many prompts that we have for Old School April. So there's like a few prompts that I'm going to be thinking of. Like I'll be thinking definitely of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers prompt, which is to read a book based on your favorite Power Rangers color, which of course is blue, because everyone loves the blue Power Ranger. He's a Triceratops, bitch. But I'm not going to be choosing what I'm going to read based solely on prompts. I want to have a TBR that's like completely open to things that I just want to read and want to experience. And anything that fits within that will be, of course, applicable for points. So let us begin with the first, which is my random pile of 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 books that are not of normal size. These are my oversized books and books that are probably like a little bit iffy as far to like categorize them or anything like that. But I still love them and want to read them. So one of the things that is happening along with Old School April is Giant APE-Ril, which is by Roy Reads Anything. And that is all devoted to King Kong and various giant monsters of that ilk. So I want to read some things that are either King Kong or giant monster based, but not necessarily fit into anything after 2004. So first off, I'm going to definitely add this essential volume for Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which is the Marvel Comics Godzilla run. I have read a bit of these, but I have not read all of them. I read the Western comic version. I think I'm trying to figure what issue that is. I probably think it's like issue like 18 to 19 of this comic. Don't worry. In the in the subtitles, you'll see this is the actual comic it was in. But that has a lot of influences from King Kong, obviously. That is why the moniker King of the Monsters is used. So definitely putting that on the list. Boom, boom, boom. Not on top of Moose, though, of course. And then for another comic that I want to read is I really want to read Konga, which is a collection of Konga comics, which is based off of that very bad 1960s movie. And all of these are drawn by Steve Ditko. And I love these books. I've definitely actually read this before, but I want to read this again because it is a classic comic book series. And then last, but certainly not least, I say that and then I get into a like, oh my gosh, what am I going to read? I'm going to choose, it came from Bob's Basement, and this is the basement of Bob Burns. Bob Burns, who is a horror movie and nostalgia collector, has pretty much everything that you could think of in terms of collectibles in his basement. And that includes some big old Americas. So definitely going to put that into this particular TBR and a lot of other very classic monster movies. I think that is all I'm going to take from this big collection thing here, mainly because it is impossible to put that onto the TBR cart without it being completely unyieldy. Now, let us search. Here's one that I think I'm going to put on here. This is something that is entirely nostalgia based. Now, this is my copy from back in the day. Moose? Little Moosey? You're trying to get into my shot, and it's okay. So, back in the day, I read this book, which is Star Wars Darth Maul Shadow Hunter by Michael Reeves. This is my copy back from, like, it's an old copy because it's all yellow inside. You're like, yes, queen. I see that yellow. And this is something that was released to coincide with the very first Star Wars prequel movie, which is The Phantom Menace, which is from 2001. 100% putting this on the thing. I really want to reread this. I read this as a kid, and I would love to reread it now that I'm an old man. Don't you agree? She agrees. Don't listen to her. She agrees. Now, I have a few, ignore me, hilariously, dropping my phone. Oh well. I do have a few Robert McCammon books that I want to get to. Now, I'm not sure which one. So, Ball is actually one of the host recs by Elizabeth from Elizabeth Sagewood. So I definitely want to put that on the list. Look at that beautiful sprayed edges. I love it. But I also want to put on Bethany's Sin, which is a book which also has the exact same. That's weird. They both have like very similarly looking red or orange edges. So anyways, that's weird. But Bethany's Sin is a book by Robert McCammon that Katrina loves. So I'm like, ooh, gotta put that one on. So I'm gonna put 2 Robbie McCamey books on here. Which one will I read? That's a question. Like, I'm gonna put way more books on here than I will ever read, but that is because I want to have like a whole bunch of options to do. Speaking of options, Death Dream by Graham Masterton, which is a sequel to my host pick, which is Night Warriors, which is obviously a playoff of Dream Warriors, but Night Warriors. Shadows 4, which is a short story collection. Blight, which is an animal attack books involving moths, because of course it is. That's a thing that exists. And then TNT, this is a book for Ollie and Ollie only. I don't know if it'll be good or not. I have like 3 of them, so I want to read one of them. I want to read a fair bit of old classic horror for the rest of these. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to read as far as horror goes. So I want to kind of focus on shorter books as well. Some of the books that I've shown you before have been kind of chunky, but this is a nice, classic, thin animal attack book. I love the cover, Black Horde. It is a book about killer centipedes, so I definitely want to read that. I'm going to be focusing on the animal attack prompt quite a bit, even though it doesn't exist anymore, and it's the animal companion prompt. But whatevs, I will be friends with all animals that will try to kill me. Like Moose. Will you try to kill me, Moose? She is a murderer. Let's go to the next thing. I don't think I'm going to choose any more from that one. Don't think that this one is going to have anything. Shopping the shelves. So here's one that I think might be interesting to reread. I have not read this in a while. This is something that could be considered a new version of an old piece of media. This is an Alien comic based off of the original script for the film Alien. I read this many years ago when it came out, which I think probably at this point is probably about 3-4 years ago, and I quite liked it. And it is an adaptation of the original script for Alien. And yeah, no, it's a very interesting book. So I would love to reread that for Old School April. Of course, I have to have an Alien book in. I didn't mean to bring Anguirus. Would you like to kiss Anguirus? Mwah! 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 He does not receive love. He goes back. These are Stephen King. You'd never read a Stephen King book during a Kelsey readathon, or else she'll get very mad. She'll be fine with it. I'm just kidding. Or am I? There is some V.C. Andrews books. So I kind of want to read Flowers in the Attic, which is a book that Kelsey from Slime and Slashers, the originator of this event, read and gave like 5 stars to. And I have a whole bunch of V.C. Andrews books, and I need to know if I want to read any more of them. So putting that on the list. Here is a strange one that I also want to add to the list. This is Gary Gygax's Cyborg Commando. I know nothing about this book. This is a vintage sci-fi book. Gary Gygax is one of the co-creators of Dungeons and Dragons, so that's why I own this book. Here is one that I actually got gifted by from Kelsey from Slime and Slashers. This is Bleeding Skull, which is a 1990s horror trash odyssey, and is all about various 1990s books, 1990s movies that was considered trash at the time, whether it was shot on video or just had a limited release. Bleeding Skull is one of the best websites of all time. They really catalog old, obscure media. And so I absolutely love this website, and I'm really excited to read this book. I have been kind of reading off and on the 1980s version of this on ebook, but the 1990s version does not have an ebook. So I'm really happy that Kelsey from Slime Slashers, the originator of this event, bought me this. So I will read that, and maybe I will watch a few from this. Moose is just going ham. She's like, oh, hello, hello, hello. Now we go down here. Nothing really down here that I think, other than there's some interesting things. Maybe the Frankenstein Reader. Oh, wow. You know what's awkward is I just put this on one of my. I put this on like an eBay watch list without realizing I owned it. So yeah, I guess that's going on the list. Whoopsie daisy. Other than that, I don't think there's anything here. And then, old Stevie King, which you never read. Never, never, ever. Now, I am a fan of Spider-Man, old school Spider-Man comics. And I think, reading something like this would be very fun. Which is, You Are Spider-Man. I could win a Spider-Man CD-ROM. And you get to play, I think it's like a choose-your-own-adventure book where you play as Spider-Man versus the Incredible Hulk. I believe this is issue 3 of the original Amazing Spider-Man, where he encounters Incredible Hulk and fights Dr. Doom. Crump. Definitely putting that in the list. Other than that, though, I don't think there's anything really from there. Here is another batch of weirdness. Most of these right here, these are comic book stuff. These are meant for the next edition of Garbogus, which is, I was kind of trying to focus on old school comic book stuff for Garbogus. But I distinctly remember back as a kid coming across this book and wanting to buy this book when I was a kid. So, obviously, shkablompla, it's going into my old school April thing now that I own it. Hello. Oh God. Moose is just going ham. Scoop-a-doop, scoop-a-doop, scoop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's see what we got here. A lot of big books up here. Not a lot of small books that I would want to read for Old School April. Here is one, which is an animal attack book. Croc, in the tradition of Night of the Crabs, which I love. I love Night of the Crabs. Going there. Then there's a bunch of the Shadow series. Yeah, these guys are all kind of big. I actually wouldn't mind trying to read Gargantua. So this was a 1998 ripoff of Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla film. So I think that might be fun to read. This is the novelization, and it's supposed to be much better than the actual film, which isn't that hard because that film sucks. Okay, on to the next one. There are a few here. This is my Warhammer shelf, and there are a few things here that I actually bought in anticipation of Old School April, like Deathwing, which is the very first Warhammer 40,000 book ever written. This was originally written in the 90s, and this is a reprint from the early 2000s, so it's going on the list. Now, other than that, the other one that I bought for Old School April that might make it to another year is the Inquisitor War. This might make it another year, just because it's kind of a big chunker. Other than that, though, I don't think there's any other Warhammer books that are going to make it there. Now we get on to here. Nothing here other than like the ceremonies and some other things that are technically applicable for Old School April, but I don't think I want to read for it. I would actually love to read Kill Riff, but I think there's an audiobook for that, so I will actually buy the audiobook for that. But I will add Robot Commando, which is a choose-your-own-adventure. You create a character, and you kind of fight through it. Fighting fantasy series, so I would love to read that. Nothing up here really, because I just don't want to disrupt this thing. Most of these that I have actually read. Same for up here. I'm just trying to look for shorter books that might be interesting. The novelization for Fog, that might be cool. The Fog, which is by Janice Etchison. That might be a good one to read. I love that movie. Alrighty. Yes, I know my my things are kind of in a bit of a mess right now. Charles L. Grant is one of my favorite vintage authors. I would love to read one of his books for this. So I'll put the grave down there. For some vintage fantasy, I would not mind trying to try out one of these Dragonlance books. And I'm going to try the Villain series, Volume 3. I haven't read any of these. I don't know. What do you think, Moose? She has very in-depth opinions upon the material. My name's Moose. This is a George R.R. Martin vampire story. This is a reprint of it, but this actually originally came out, I believe, in the 70s. Definitely would like to read that. One of the first books that I ever found of the vintage horror realm, which is The Dentist by J.N. Williamson. J.N. Williamson is not a good writer, but he has great covers. Want to put that into the thing. And then, I believe, I don't see anything too much down here. Scoopity, scoopity, scoopity. Other than this, nope. I was like, ah. And I was like, nah. Maybe Berserker. Wouldn't mind reading Berserker, which is supposed to be like kind of like a slasher villain. It's like an old school Viking returns and then slashes peoples. And then there's this book, which is the first few Spider-Man comics collected in a weird paperback, like a little mini paperback, and I want to read that. Let us see. Let us go to the next one. Okay, we're in my second room now with the books to choose for my TBR. Brrr. So, Killer, by the way, great book. Love it. I've already read it, though. Reba, I'm not sure when this is written. Night Warriors. That is one of my books for the recommended feature of Old School April, mainly because an eel bites a cop's dick, and it is hilarious. Rattlers, rattlers, bitch. Yes, I believe it's for gear upon my TBR. Ooh, a death beast. Not a normal beast. It's a death beast. Going on my TBR. What else do we got here? Nightwing Death Tour, great films and great books. Well, actually, the movie for this is terrible, but the book is great. I love it. I love it. Ooh, Spawn. This is a giant monster book by old Donnie Glut. Would be great for Old School April. That'd be funny. I should call it Old School April TBR, but I won't because it'll mess up with the SEO. Jade Unicorn, a book where a unicorn actually does stab a bitch. I read it, so I know. Well, I read that specific part, so I know. Bloodmaster, bitch. Yes. This is a book with Nazi werewolves. Nothing scarier. Gonna put it on my TBR. I like to be scared. I'm a scared boy. Killer Crabs by Giant Smith, one of the greatest authors of all time. I will hear no objections towards that. This is my smut shelf. Plenty of classic smut. What is on this shelf? When is this made? Let's see when this is made. I read a Simon Clarke book, Simon Clarke short story recently, and I loved it. July 22, 2002. Oh, 2002. Wow. Going on the list. When is this comic book written? I read a little bit of it in Garbagus, but I determined it was actually too good to read. Russell Blackford. Oh, 2005. Unacceptable. It must go away. This book about T-Rexes and the age of the dinosaurs. Shimp. When was it written, bitch? Oh, 1992 of October. I already have one T-Rex book on here, so I don't even know. Oh, I looked at it, because he's not going to make it into the Final Cut. Definitely not Final Cut Pro. That's one for all of you video editing folks out there. Basil of Baker Street, definitely adding that. I love The Great Mouse Detective, which is one of the host recs for films, but it's based upon a book. Who would have thought? Me. Return to the Werewolf. I've not read this. I've not read any of the werewolf books by Giant Smith, but who cares, bitch? I'm gonna read this one. Skablampla. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. What could be down here? Nothing for me. What could be down in this one? Alien vs. Predator Prey. When was this published? I love the cover. When did Steve Perry and Stephanie Perry write this novel? We shall find out. Ooh, it was in 1994. Okay, it's going on the list. Bam, 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 bam. What else do we have here? We have a Blue Betty. No, this is Nami. I'm sorry. As you can tell by the tail, it's Nami. Sorry, Noms. I love you, Nami. She's like, how dare you? You have mistaken me for another cat. I will never talk to you again. Which is fair. Full Moonster, which is a dumb title. And that's why I'm reading it. It looks like a man with Uzi fighting a werewolf. And you know what? Nami scent marked it with her little frunkin. So obviously it's going on the list. What else is down here? Oh, now let's go on to the next one. Most of these. Ha! I see, says the old man pissing in the wind. It is the Blair Witch Project, a dossier. Obviously, I'm going to read this. It is beautiful and amazing. What else is here? Ooh, came a spider. Well, we are all about sexual positivity here. I approve of you, Mr. Spider. You get it however you need to. How dare this sticker be here, but I will deal with that in the future. But this, I believe, is an animal attack books featuring spiders. And I'm here for it. That's going on the list. Escamblampla. Ooh. What is this? This is a Guyan Smith book about the snakes. I love snakes. I love Guyan Smith. I believe Ollie said this book is bad, but who listens to him? Except for like 20,000 people. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Empire of the Ants. That's an old book. I like old books. That's why we're old school in the Staples. Oh, my back. Her blankla. Okay, let's see. This is... Oh, no, I already read this. I read this in Garbagus last year. It was quite good. But I would like to read... Indiana Jones, Find Your Fate, The Dragon of Vengeance. Wow. Going on the list. A few novelizations I would like to read. Grizzly. That is a reference to a drunk commentary, which is on Kelsey from Slime Slasher's Patreon. I don't think anyone has ever seen it. Piranha. There's a Piranha novelization. More like Piranha being read in Old School April's novelization. Skimpla blah blah. Skimpla blah blah. Skimpla blah blah. Skimpla blah blah. I don't think anything up here is being read. Oh, except for this. Oh yeah, Spider-Man fighting the Herbergerblin. The Herbergerblin. My favorite of the Gerblins is of the Hob variety. Alright, let's see what is going on here. Oh yes, it's alive. I bought this because someone said it was bad and was like, I don't believe other books are good, for I read the It's Alive novelization and it was quite shit. And I was like, whatever, bitch. I'm gonna buy it and prove you wrong by having a different opinion, aka not proving you wrong. Whatevs. That's how life works. You're Encino Man. I've never seen the movie, but I'll read the novelization. Okay, I think that's all from this one. What do you think, Nami? I believe that you are a lame bitch. Well, that's weird, Nami. Can't believe You said that. Oh, my back. Just kidding. I don't have a back. I got rid of it. Okay, let's see. The first strike from the Halo. I don't remember when Halo first came out, but I'm going to find out right now. Skablampla. Nope. I skablomped the wrong thing. Skablomp. I believe that's a 2003. But I'm not going to read this one. But I will read The Flood, which I believe is the first one. So, that is going on the list. Okay, what do we got here? Doctor Who, The Talons of Probably Pretty Offensive. I guess I'll read that once. Ooh, The Book of the Dead. It's a Universal Monsters book for the young adult crowd. I don't know why I'm laughing like that, but it's a thing I do now. I have read most Predator books except for Forever and Midnight. I've never read Forever Midnight. I've not read either of the Predator novelizations either. So Predator 2 or Predator by Paul Manette. And I believe, well, we have created my old school April TBR. I will show you it in the card in a few seconds. Last, but certainly not least, this is the book that was read during the film King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1962 to prove that Godzilla was stupid. And no, that's not a joke. That's literally what happens in the movie. Some guy goes like, and this is why Godzilla has a dumb brain and King Kong has a great brain. And he shows off this particular book. So this is from, let's see, no Nami, friend Moose. I can't believe I called Moose Nami. That is embarrassing. But this is a, here's originally wrong to Tyrone Poe. I'm not pretty familiar with that man. But this was originally published in 1959. Yes, and it was used to decredit Godzilla in King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962. So that is the final one I'm reading, and it's very much related to old school APE-Ril. As always, remember to dislike, unsubscribe, and leave a mean comment. Isn't that right, Moose? Yes, I agree. This man sucks. Thank you, Moose.